In this lesson, we're going to look at 4 specific professional English situations and ask the question, what do you say when? Hi there, I'm Derek and this is English for Professionals, the best place to improve your professional communication skills for work. Before we get started, just make sure to take a look at the link in the description for the Professional English Phrase Booster. It's my free resource that I put together to help you with your professional English phrases. You will find great phrases there for presenting, for leading meetings, for negotiating, and for talking about projects. It's completely free for you to download, so go ahead and take a look at that when you've finished watching the lesson. So I had the idea for this lesson earlier today, and I think we could make it into a series. So what I want you to do is, when you're watching this and practicing the lesson with me, I want you to also think about specific situations in your job, situations that you find yourself in again and again, and where you're not exactly sure what to say or how to respond, what's appropriate, and so on. And then when you have an idea, I want you to write it in the comments of this video. So what you can write is, what do you say when, and then be as specific as possible. So what do you say when, and then describe the situation that you find difficult. Okay, please do that for me, and then I can create more helpful videos like this one covering lots of different professional English scenarios. Okay, brilliant. And now let's move on to the first scenario for this lesson. Okay, so our first scenario is presentations. What do you say when you get really stuck and your mind goes blank? And I also have here, my first tip is to be honest with your audience. So this is quite a specific situation, and it's not a very nice situation to be in. So here are some ideas of what you can do if you find yourself in that situation. So the first one is, and by the way, I'd like you to practice reading these sentences out loud. I'll say each sentence twice, and you can repeat it with me when you hear me say it the second time, or you can pause the video after I've said it and just practice saying it out loud. I recommend saying it out loud because that gives you a better chance of remembering it. Okay, and to do that several times, come back and watch the video again and again and repeat the sentences out loud. Okay, let's go and do that first sentence. I'm sorry, but I've completely forgotten what I wanted to say. I'm sure it will come back to me in a moment. Okay, now say it with me. I'm sorry, but I've completely forgotten what I wanted to say. I'm sure it will come back to me in a moment. Okay, and if you want, you can pause the video now and repeat that out loud. The next one is, sorry, my mind just went blank. I'll come back to that point a little later. Sorry, my mind just went blank. I'll come back to that point a little later. Next we have, I seem to have lost my train of thought. Just give me a moment. I seem to have lost my train of thought. Just give me a moment. And in the next bullet point, I have a little explanation of that phrase, to lose your train of thought. If you lose your train of thought, it means that you forget what you were talking or thinking about. Okay, to lose your train of thought. And the fourth example that we have when you're in this situation is, it's on the tip of my tongue. So when you can almost remember something, you're very close to the word or phrase you wanted to use when you get stuck. Let me just start that again. It's on the tip of my tongue. Just give me a second. It'll come to me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Just give me a second. It'll come to me. Okay, so the next scenario is meetings, and a very specific situation in a meeting when you need clarification about something during a meeting. Okay, so here's our first example. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by, and then you say the word or phrase. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by. Or, what exactly do you mean by? And then use the specific word or phrase. What exactly do you mean by? Or, I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with that term. Maybe you could explain it in other words? I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with that term. Maybe you could explain it in other words? Next example, I'm afraid I don't quite follow. Would you mind explaining that again, please? I'm afraid I don't quite follow. Would you mind explaining that again, please? And the final one here for this situation, I'm not sure I get it. Could you go over that part again, please? I'm not sure I get it. Could you go over that part again, please? And by the way, if you'd like to learn much more about meetings and more scenarios like this, you should check out my interactive online course, the 21-Day Meetings Challenge. You'll find a link in the description below. And moving on now to our third scenario, small talk. So when you're making small talk with a colleague and they say the following, we went to that new Italian place on Saturday night. So the best way to respond here is to ask questions. That way we show interest, and that's great for conversation and relationship building. So one of the first things you could say would be, oh, was it good? Oh, was it good? Or, was it busy? Was it busy? Another example could be, did you have to reserve a table in advance? Did you have to reserve a table in advance? Or, what did you have? What did you have? And the last example, do they have a good menu? Do they have a good menu? And let's just stay with the topic of small talk for a moment before we move on to our fourth scenario. If you want to get really good at small talk, check out my other online course, Small Talk for Professionals. There's a link in the description below. Okay, now let's move on to our fourth scenario. And this one is about dealing with bad news. So when a colleague tells you that someone close to them has passed away, so someone has died, here are some examples of what you can say in this very specific and tricky situation. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Or, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine how difficult this must be for you. I can't imagine how difficult this must be for you. Or, if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. If there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. And the last example, we're all thinking of you and your family. Let us know if you need anything. We're all thinking of you and your family. Let us know if you need anything. Okay, so that last situation was particularly difficult. It's a sad situation and it's often hard to know what to say. Hopefully those phrases will help you if you find yourself, in that situation with a colleague or a client at work in the future. All right, now, as I said at the beginning, I'd like to make these kind of lessons, what do you say when, into a series, but I need your help. I need you to give me specific examples of work situations where, you're not exactly sure how to respond. Things that happen again and again and you need help with. Make sure to leave a comment that starts with, what do I say when, and then describe that specific situation. And I'll do my best to get some of those situations. It depends on how many people comment and reply. I'll do my best to create more videos with more useful phrases so you can be more confident in those situations in the future. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment, as I said, and watch one of these next.